Hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett. Got a lot to talk about. Portal madness, trip to New York City on the horizon, and more. But before we get to that, the Husker Online Show brought to you by our title sponsor again, StayHome.Care. If you're not familiar with StayHome.Care, they're there for you to help the loved ones in your life. It's never too early to give them a call. Whether it's just simple tasks like giving a loved one a ride to a doctor's appointment, grocery shopping, cooking, cleaning, they're there to help you with the things you might need for those closest in your life. And it's never too early to call and ask about the services they offer at StayHome.Care. Call them at 402-205-2233. Again, that's 402-205-2233. Thanks again to StayHome.Care, the title sponsor of the Husker Online Show. All right. Transfer portal madness, guys. And look, every day I feel like I call Steve and Robin and we discuss like what type of mess are we going to be involved in today with the transfer portal. And this week there was a big one out there, and nobody locally was involved in this reporting, but nationally and underground message boards and other fan bases, put out rumors about quarterback Dylan Raiola, that he could be leaving Nebraska. And it led to a storm of speculation. Then we saw Sunday night, Dylan Raiola at the Kansas City Chiefs game with two of his future teammates, Dawson Merritt and Isaiah Mosey, watching the Chiefs game, and Merritt's father coaches for the Chiefs. And then, it still led to questions to the point where Dylan Raiola had to make a social media posting that he's, quote, all in and back. Wow. Welcome to covering a college football team in 2024.
Well, I mean, I understand it.
No, I do, yeah.
I understand it. He could put that out every day, and people would still speculate about him leaving. The guys that do it get traffic off of it. I think some of them probably know that he's not leaving and propagate the narrative anyway. I have that little faith in our business right now. But yeah, I mean, you can say to them, well, we talked to his dad and his dad said he's staying. No, he's not. You could say, well, I just talked to Dylan and here's Dylan on the line and he's saying he's staying. Here he is right here. No, he's not. He's not staying. Well, no matter what you do, they will say it.
He's got it. Well, his agent. Well, and you made the point. He doesn't actually have an agent.
He has a marketing agent.
Not like a.
It was coming. Yeah, just a marketing. It was coming. I guess it was coming from the agent world. I don't know where it comes from.
Agents from other schools that are. When a school like Nebraska, Robin, has millions of dollars to pay a quarterback.
Yeah, there you go.
And there's any thought at all that quarterback there is leaving. Those agents are like, well, there's a lot of money at Nebraska,
and that's their job. That's what they're supposed to do, is leverage as much money as possible for their client. That's what agents do. Right. And so now that we're moving closer and closer to a professional model, that's the way of the world now, where players, almost every player, at least certainly ones of the Dylan Raiola caliber, have agents and have representation and people that are talking through back channels, trying to negotiate more money for their client. And that's just the way of the world that is going to be now, to where you're dealing with this type of year-to-year renegotiation and leveraging for each and every player to try to find their best possible opportunities, not just on the football field, but what they can make financially as well.
There's a lot of ramifications to unlimited free agency. This is unlimited free agency.
Yeah, so it's different than the pros.
Right.
It's the next level from the pros.
Right, exactly. So this is one of the ramifications. And some of it might be as innocent as an agent contacting 1890 Nebraska's collective and saying, hey, hearing things about Raiola just in case I have a quarterback. It's just that makes a lot of sense. Agents will do that and position their guy, and agents can do that without the player's teammates or coaches knowing. And so that all makes sense.
You're listening here to the Husker Online Show as we talk portal madness. And, for Nebraska, it's been a busy run of entries, and it was expected to be a busy run of entries. And there have been some obvious ones, but there have been some surprise ones. And I think when you look at this last week, the big storyline was Emmett Johnson entered the portal and he returned, chose to come back for, various reasons. You just don't really know what leads to the back and forth. But Emmett Johnson, that's a big win for Nebraska. But on the flip side, we've seen some big hits. Quarterback Daniel Kalen obviously entered in the portal, announced that last week. But most recently on the defensive line, Nebraska has been just decimated. Jamari Butler, Vincent Jackson, Princewell Umanyalan, James Williams, Kai Wallen, Brody Tagaloa, and the latest freshman Keona Davis. And, you don't want to overreact because you never know. There could be another Emmett Johnson type situation that could play out with these guys. So you always have to be careful. But that defensive line situation heading into Yankee Stadium, I mean, they might need to see if Aaron Judge has some availability and eligibility.
Judge would look good coming
to play on the defensive line this week. Yeah,
it's kind of gone from a position of, well, hold on now. I mean, you're going to have Ty and Nash. When I'm
Van Poppel,
and Glenn Hart, it's just light. I think more about next year, and that's when you lose. You lost your 3 starters because Ty's going to the NFL. Nash may go to the NFL, and Butler's probably, where's Butler going? You think?
I don't know.
State.
How many of these final 3 before the portal?
LSU, A&M, or Florida State.
Yeah, how many of these guys are going to Florida State? That's one thing I wonder about.
And you wonder what that relationship is like right now between North Stadium and now the coaches that have left. Because to me, like, it's one thing to leave for another school, but if you take parts with you,
how many of those guys are going now? Jamari's final 3 are LSU, A&M, and FSU. That's Jamari Butler's 3. I'm hearing James Williams going to FSU. I don't know if you're hearing that, Sean. What?
Which would make sense. Terrence Knighton's like a father figure to him. So
I don't know if it's for sure. I've heard that's the lean at least.
But like Matt Rule said today on the bowl conference call, he's like, look, I'm not going to criticize the portal because we're going to recruit other players from other schools too. And
the portal works both ways.
Williams Nwarni from Missouri, who took a 4-game red shirt this year. He played 50 snaps.
His name is Nwarni.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was just checking.
Just confirmation.
Checking. Yeah. I'm just
Wallene Jordan Nwarni.
I was just checking. I wasn't questioning.
I was like, what? That's what I said. I was like,
I just want to know how to pronounce it.
Nwarni.
Yeah.
But he was a highly paid player at Missouri, several $100,000 NIL deal, 5-star DN. He played for Mosey at Lee Summit North.
You think he's coming here?
I think Nebraska, his high school coach is here, and
he visited Nebraska before Mosey was here. So he already had interest in Nebraska. His high school coach is on staff.
With the money you're going to lose, that's paying Ty Robinson, that's paying Jamari Butler, that's paying Nash Hutmacher.
You'll have some money.
Guess who's got some freed up cap space?
Yeah, you definitely do. That would be wonderful if you could get him. It'd be wonderful if they could get somebody back out, like maybe Keona Davis just testing the market. Is that possible?
Yeah. I mean, you never know. I think, again, a lot of these guys enter the portal just to have that as a backup plan and explore their options, just like Emmett Johnson did, where, he was caught up in the emotion of everything, after the season, entered the portal, probably saw, as Amari Sanders put, the grass wasn't greener, and decided, hey, I'm going to come back to Nebraska. Like, cooler heads sometimes prevail in these situations, which is why you don't want to burn bridges after a portal entry.
Does this affect, if you're a Van Poppel or a Elijah Judy or a Cam Lenhart, did you go in and say, hey, I think my value just went up with these guys leaving?
I don't know why you wouldn't.
Right? Sean, is that the play?
I mean, you have to be careful though, because it's one of those meetings where you only get one shot at the target, and if you miss the target,
right?
I mean, you better slay the king.
I just wonder how you do that.
It's like going into your boss and asking for a raise, and what happens if the boss says no?
Do you just literally go to Rule if you're Lenhart and wink and say Keona Davis today? What do we got to do here? I mean, they
don't have a D-line coach right now.
Well, I'm going to the head coach.
Who's right now in practice, who's coaching the D-line?
I wish we knew that.
Matt Rule?
I wish we knew. There's got to be an assistant.
Phil Simpson is officially on staff
Edges.
now, and he's an edge coach.
Yeah. They got to have somebody over there, right? That's a good question, though.
Oh, well, the guy that we met in Texas, Ira Savage Lewis.
I think so, yes.
He's a D-line. He was the assistant D-line coach tonight. And so I would imagine Ira Savage Lewis is probably running the show right now. But I mean, that's
the kind of stuff we got to ask Rule tomorrow.
Yeah, we haven't been Thursday.
Yeah.
But so we'll have more, but we're going to get into the Pinstripe Bowl next. Nebraska, Boston College. They'll play on December 28th on ABC, 11 a.m. Central Time kickoff. We will be heading out to New York late Christmas night. Looking forward to a week of bowl coverage as well for the first time since 2016. We'll talk Pinstripe Bowl and bowl preparation next. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washut. Again, we're brought to you by StayHome.Care. They're there for you to help the loved ones in your life with simple day-to-day tasks. It could be anything. Give them a call. Learn more about their services at 402-205-2233. We're also brought to you by Public Rec. And look, everybody likes to be comfortable. It's a time of year you want to wear loungy clothes around the house, but you don't want to look like a bum. You want to look nice. You want to look presentable. Public Rec, high-end, great leisure wear, golf pants, shorts, sweatshirts, polo shirts. They've got it all, and this is premium stuff. I know Robin got his stuff. I got some Public Rec gear, and I was really impressed with the quality of the product. Check them out on their website at Public Rec, and it's just simple, comfortable things, high-end, high quality. It's going to wash well. It's going to wear well. And we've got a 20% off promo at Public Rec. Stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time, our listeners will get 20% off. Use the promo code Husker at checkout. Again, that's promo code Husker at publicrec.com to receive 20% off your order. Thanks again to Public Rec for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. All right, let's talk some Pinstripe Bowl. Nebraska learned their bowl destination this week. They're heading to New York City on December 28th, an 11 a.m. game on ABC to kick off the Saturday bowl coverage. And, for Nebraska, there's a lot of nostalgia to this game in Yankee Stadium. When you go back to 1962, it was Bob Devaney's first bowl game at Nebraska, the Gotham Bowl, when they beat Miami. It was also Nebraska's first bowl win in school history. And that bowl game in 62 snapped a bowl drought that is similar to the current bowl drought. Nebraska's previous bowl before 62 was during the 54 season when they played in the 1955 Orange Bowl against Duke. So there is a lot of connections and ties about going back to Yankee Stadium and what this game means. And you get the sense, and Robin and I were on this conference call this week, this is a game that both schools are treating with pretty great importance.
Did you get that sense, Rob?
Mm-hmm. Matt Rule said that he's never been more appreciative of going to a bowl game than he was this one. And I know a lot of people are kind of disenchanted with the destination and the matchup compared to what they had their sights on before it was announced. But you got to understand what this means for Nebraska just in the grand scheme of things. Not only just ending the bowl drought, but just the tangible step forward to be able to go to a bowl game, to have this opportunity, to have this month of practices and preparation to where not only are you trying to finish this season off on a high note, but you're getting valuable prep going into next season where they're treating it just as much as the end of 24 to the start of 25. And so this is just something Nebraska hasn't had in far too long. And that fact is not lost on Matt Rule. I also thought it was cool too, Sean, that you mentioned that Gotham Bowl. He said he talked to Bob Devaney's son about that game and just kind of what that game meant to the program and how it kind of springboarded those decades of dominance. So kind of a cool full circle moment here.
Yeah, I've talked to Mike Devaney about the Gotham Bowl, and that was obviously his father's first season.
Bob
at Nebraska, Bob Devaney, and
let's get that name out there. Go ahead.
What did I do?
No, I just wanted to say.
He was
Bob,
clarifying that we're talking about
going.
Bob Devaney.
Yeah.
Well, Mike is his son living in Phoenix, and still a very great supporter and follower of the program. But that game in 62, they barely got the game played. It was the final. They only played the Gotham Bowl twice because it went broke. The year before in 61, the game lost $100,000.
61, okay.
And that's a lot of money.
That's big time money in 1962.
So in 62, there was a newspaper strike in New York. So the game got very little publicity and coverage because of the newspaper strike, and it was colder than hell. About 6,000 people attended. Nebraska did not take off for New York until the check cleared, and they sat on the runway in Lincoln's Airport waiting to get the phone call that the check had cleared. I believe it was $35,000 check to take off. Now, this year, I don't think there's going to be that problem with the Yankees backing the Gotham Bowl. not the Gotham Bowl, but the Pinstripe Bowl.
Look at those photos. Look at how.
By the way, third base line, second, third deck. That to me, other than the foul pole there, would be a really good seat.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, like for me personally, like I've never been to Yankee Stadium, so just checking that off the bucket list will be cool. But like seeing the photos of the football field there and just the backdrop there, it's unique and it's a lot cooler than like, I don't know, going to the Diamondback Stadium or something like that. If you're going to play in a baseball stadium, Yankee Stadium is probably the best one you can find.
Yeah, even like I thought the Gator Bowls were cool, but this does actually more than for me than going to like a game in the Jaguar Stadium.
Does it?
Yes. I mean, I just think it just has a different feel. And there's some great storylines with Nebraska. Matt Rule grew up in New York City. He's got a lot of family from there. You've got Ramir Johnson playing his final game from Harlem. He grew up in Harlem. Cam Lenhart grew up in New York City. So Nebraska's got a lot of angles. And Robin, they've got some Boston College ties too.
Yeah. So Lenhart spoke to the team this week about what that game's going to be all about and what going to New York around the holidays means, and basically just trying to enlighten people that don't know about New York, especially going there this time of year, about what it's all about and what's in store for them. So I think that Matt Rule's really trying to generate some excitement both internally and externally about this game, and a lot. I think he should. You know, there's a lot of reason why this is an important game for Nebraska, and so as much excitement as they can get as possible. But then with the Boston College connection, you know, they're Nebraska's interim defensive coordinator, John Butler, was the defensive coordinator under Bill O'Brien at Penn State. They worked together in the NFL, and during the conference call, I asked Bill about John Butler and had a lot of good things to say about it. You know, just kind of talking about his work ethic and you know, how he was a really integral part to the brief success that O'Brien had at Penn State. And so, you know, there's a lot of, I think, interesting narratives around this game that go beyond just the X's and O's.
And Bill O'Brien, he's your kind of guy, Sip, and he kind of reminds you of a more cleaned up version of Bo Pelini. I mean, just a tough East Coast guy.
He's pretty funny.
You know, and Nebraska and Boston College have never played in history. And you know, Boston College is one of only two Catholic schools in FBS that play football. Notre Dame's the other. So there's just not a lot of common connections to Nebraska and Boston College. But I like Bill O'Brien. I'm excited just about the head coaching matchup too, because you know, Bill O'Brien's a dude. I mean, he used that conference call to really, you know, express some of his views about college football, and it was interesting. I mean, he was, and the show was on the Yes Network. It wasn't like just some Zoom call.
It was on the Yes Network.
Yeah, it was a full production.
That's like the Yankees network.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was probably the best bowl press conference thing I've ever done in my career.
I'll be damned.
Like, it was big time.
Okay, that's good. That's good for the bowl to do that. You don't want to present yourself as a small time bowl. If in the Pinstripe Bowl gets a little bit overlooked, so that's good news.
No, it's run. I mean, from what I've seen, it's run like a big time bowl.
I mean, it's a Yankee bowl game. Like, they got Yankee money behind it.
And we've seen bowl games before where they might be higher prestige than this one, but there's a lot of loose ends with the operations of the bowl.
Absolutely.
I mean, one year, I won't even name the bowl, but Robin and I, we didn't, like, there was supposed to be a ride home for a shuttle, and there wasn't.
Right.
And the bowl director had to come back and pick us up and
leave their
great
post-game party, their staff party, to come pick us up in his personal
good
car.
bowl director.
Because the shuttle just left.
It's a good bowl director. And the matchup, you guys know a little bit more about this matchup. So 7-5 Boston College. They have a really good edge rusher. We know that, right, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, he leads the nation in sacks.
Do you know anything about Boston College? This is a bad question for me to ask on the air, but I haven't really looked into them very much.
Well, Boston College, like when you look at them as a team, I mean, they're very efficient. They've thrown 24 touchdown passes to just 7 interceptions. In comparison, Nebraska's only thrown 12 touchdown passes, and they've thrown 11 interceptions. So there is a lot of, you know, things that jump out. Bill O'Brien's a good coach, and his teams play well.
I will tell you this. I don't want to act like Babe in the woods here. I did watch the Florida State game, but it was late August or early September. So it was a while ago. I will tell you this.
Different quarterback leading the way, too.
Yeah, Castellanos was their quarterback, and he had a good game against Florida State. Now, he went into the portal during the season.
Early November.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. I watched Boston College thinking, wow, They're serious. That's a serious team. They're good. They're good up front, for instance.
They almost beat Missouri at Missouri.
Yeah, there you go. They'll be tough. It'll be a tough matchup.
Yeah, Donovan Ezeruku leads the nation with 16 and a half sacks. Now, will he play in this game is a good question. And
will Ty play in this game? Robinson.
Well, they practiced today.
Did Ty practice?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
But yeah, if they don't play, like I said, they'll be suiting up Aaron Judge if Ty Robinson doesn't play this game.
Well, I mean, we should be clear. Everything we've heard suggests that Ty's playing, right?
Yeah, he was certainly there at the beginning of their bowl preparations. I don't know if anything has changed since then. We haven't heard anything to suggest that they have, but he was there at least to start. And so odds are he plays.
All right, when we come back, we'll continue the discussion of Nebraska's Bowl Month. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washed. Show again brought to you by StayHome.Care. They're there for you to help the loved ones in your life with all the simple tasks you might need in your life. Give them a call at 402-205-2233. Thanks again to StayHome.Care. We're also brought to you by Mando. And Robin's going to New York, Sipple's going to New York, and I think Mando might come with Sipple. And I was at a store in Lincoln today, and I saw Mando. And it just, I just thought of you. I saw the display case, and I'm like, my God, I bet Steve Sipple would just be grinning ear to ear.
I don't know that I'd be grinning ear to ear, but I might buy some. And it's in my travel bag right now. I mean, there's no doubt it'll be in there. I got to still get some spray.
If something smells in New York, though, you might just spray it with Mando.
You might need a lot of Mando. It's great stuff. And I will answer a question you had. They have this whole body deodorant, which you're looking at right there.
The cream?
I used the cream for the first time.
A little TMI.
No, it's not TMI. Here's the beauty of the cream. If you're wearing a shirt, when you pull the shirt off, it smells like the cream. It's awesome. There's side benefits.
Well, we're going to get you all hooked up with Mando, including the full body cream. And
it's not TMI, Sean. It's rub it on your arms, shoulders, and stuff.
Just the word full body, though, generally is TMI. I got problems.
There's a maturity issue.
Clearly.
But
perfect show is a maturity.
Hey, perfect stocking stuffer for your kids, for your husband.
Yeah.
Check it out. Go to mando.com, shopmando.com, excuse me. Go to the Mando starter pack, and you're going to get a bunch of items in that pack. It's already discounted. We're going to give you another $5 off and free shipping with the promo code Husker. That's at shopmando.com on the Mando starter pack. Use the promo code Husker to get 40% off that entire package. Thanks again to Mando for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. All right, let's talk bowl game again here. And, for Nebraska, again, there's a lot of news for this. Nebraska will travel out to New York on December 23rd, which is a Monday. They will practice in Lincoln on Monday, and then they will take off and get to New York. I'm assuming at a reasonable time, but it's going to be a great trip for the players. They're going to go to the Rockettes at Radio City Music Hall.
Are they really?
They're going to see the 9/11 Memorial.
Mm-hmm. Really?
And we're not going to get in time for this, but the Knicks play Christmas Day at 11 a.m. Sip.
And who do they play?
The Spurs.
Oh, Wimby.
Just call him Wimby.
Yeah, just call him Wimby, the 7'4" center. Hey, that's interesting. We're not going to be there for that.
Well, we get in later that day, but Christmas Day basketball, and I would imagine, I don't know if the players will get to go to that, but they're going to do a lot of fun stuff. They're staying right in the heart of it all.
That's awesome. Where are they staying? Do you know?
Well, the Hilton Midtown.
Okay,
where some pretty big things happened over the last couple of weeks in the world.
Oh, the United Healthcare situation.
Yes, correct.
Okay, well, we'll do not. We don't need to address that.
Let's dig into that.
That was a one-off.
They do have the gunman.
they got it all figured out.
Yeah, but Hey, listen. This is big for the players. This is great. I'm glad you just said what you did. These bowl trips are for the players, and they get these experiences. That's marvelous that they get to see the Rockettes. Hopefully, they get to go to the next game, see the 9/11 Memorial. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's what this is about, largely.
The price of what these players would have to pay to do a trip like this. Mm-hmm. I mean, a hotel where they're staying would be like $600, $700 a night.
Right. You guys have covered enough bowls to know they're great experiences for those players, and they still are, and that's really important.
And as far as fans go, we mentioned this earlier, 3,000 tickets have been sold by the boosters. General sales go on sale Wednesday.
Okay.
But there will be a big rush of Husker fans from the New York City area. In fact, we're planning on doing an event Friday night from New York with the New York City chapter. And we're going to do a Husker Online show.
The chapter of the
Husker chapter out there. And we're going to do a broadcast out there Friday night with the alumni chapter.
Okay. The alumni chapter.
Right by the stadium, right?
No, that's game day.
Okay, that's the game day.
This will be closer to Times Square.
Nice.
Which we're staying close to.
Yeah,
right?
we're staying at the New Yorker.
Oh, okay.
Was that the Home Alone hotel in Home Alone 2?
You're asking me this question?
Macaulay Culkin stay at the New Yorker?
I don't know. I need to look that up.
Okay. I thought he did for some reason. But anyway, we're staying right there. That's the media hotel.
Okay.
And we'll be there for a couple of nights. But I want to hit on this too. The playoffs. The Big Ten got 4. The SEC got 3. Indiana will play at Notre Dame. Penn State will host SMU. And then you'll have Ohio State hosting Tennessee. I mean, some major heavyweight matchups here in the opening round of the playoffs. But a lot of talk about Alabama being left out at 9-3 for SMU. And I know it's been hit on a lot, but Alabama lost to 6-6 Vanderbilt, and they lost to 6-6 Oklahoma. They continue to pound the drum of strength of schedule, yet they still only play 8 conference games. And Alabama, of their 4 non-conference opponents, not one of them is playing in a bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, you could see why Alabama was left out. I could have seen him going in, but man, you lose 24-3 at 6-6 Oklahoma. You just cost yourself.
And Vanderbilt.
Yeah, you lose to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Vandy 6-6. What's interesting about these matchups to me is the cold weather matchups. Tennessee and Ohio State in mid to late December. Penn State in mid to late December. Notre Dame in mid to late December. That weather could definitely be a factor. The other thing is I'm not big on the artificial nature of the seeding. It's artificial to say Arizona State is a 4 seed
and Boise's the 3.
Right. That's called artificial seeding. They need to fix that because those aren't the 3rd and 4th best teams in the country.
I think the fear is, and it's going to happen, is that you'd have like multiple SEC and multiple Big Ten for first round buys.
Yeah, that's a drawback.
And I think the way out of this is, and maybe you're not for this, Sip, but going to 14 and then only having having 2 buys.
No, I'm fine.
And then if the SEC and the Big Ten are worthy of the 2, they get the buys. But there could be a year where ACC, I'll use the example, Clemson or Florida State or Miami, they're really good and they might get the buy. But I don't know if anyone's going to agree to guarantee the SEC and the Big Ten the bye.
You're right. Now, the other thing is Oregon basically punished for winning the Big Ten.
Yeah, they got like the hardest path.
Right. Very odd.
They get a bye.
Get a bye, but then they'd have to play Tennessee or Ohio State and then probably Texas, right?
Right.
Ryan Russello said it best, though. He's like, wouldn't it have been simpler in the BCS era? We know what the matchup was going to be. It was going to be Oregon versus Georgia. Like, why do we need to go through all this?
Oh, come on,
rigmarole.
That's a strange take. It's interesting. It's interesting, though. There are people that are very critical of this. Joel Klatt said this is a joke.
For Oregon?
Yeah. It's a horrendous seeding. Now,
it goes back to the arbitrary seeding to where Tennessee
artificial.
And Ohio State are an 8-9.
Right.
Where Boise's a 3.
Right.
Like,
it's artificial. That's the issue, right? Boy, you don't want to complain too much, though. We got it. We got to play.
Yeah, and like to think that this is like the permanent structure of it, I think that's short-sighted. Like, it's going to be constantly evolving. There'll be more changes. There'll be more expansion and tinkering and all that sort of thing. So I agree with you that the fact that we have an expanded playoff makes it better.
And I think the committee did work hard to make sure we didn't have a conference matchup in the first round.
Yeah.
Because I do think it would have been weird to have like Indiana
Penn State
play Penn State.
Yeah, I agree. Not good.
Like, it just wouldn't have felt right. How about this, though? The Notre Dame Indiana game will be the first Notre Dame game not on NBC since like the early 90s.
Whoa.
So
that's interesting.
I'm sure ESPN and ABC are licking their chops. Notre Dame home games have been like sacred ground to NBC.
Mhm.
Oh, let's face it. Those, I mean, if you just look at it on the surface, those are awesome first round
I'm
matchups.
fired up.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Tennessee, Ohio State to me is the game, but
Wow,
I
that's a
think,
wow game.
I think Indiana can beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And maybe I'm a Big Ten honk by saying that, but
Are you a honk? I know Indiana can absolutely beat Notre Dame. Indiana did not obviously acquit itself very well against Ohio State, which does make you wonder a little bit.
Texas will win by 2 touchdowns.
You think so?
Over Clemson. I think they're that much better than Clemson.
I haven't seen enough of Clemson. I've seen Texas twice.
Texas has a nice path.
Yes, they do.
Clemson, and they win that. Arizona State.
So anyway, this is it'll be fun. And I'm mostly interested in, like what Sean said, Tennessee, Ohio State, and the enormous pressure on Ryan Day to win that game. I mean, it's enormous pressure.
Yeah, he's got the hardest first round matchup, I believe. You know, that's the one you really can't pick. But being at home, and you and I both know, is that a night game in Columbus? Or when is that kickoff? Is that day game?
I don't know the kickoff times,
but the kickoff time of that game to me will be big.
Yeah.
Because of just the nature of what we know Columbus is like at night. I know Penn State is not a night game against SMU. Did you know that TNT, like Turner, is airing 2 of these games?
Yep, I did know that.
Like ESPN subleased them
Yeah.
to help pay some bills because they're paying so much money for the NBA and whatnot. It's funny they pay so much for the NBA when like college football generates way more ratings.
Yeah. Yeah.
What time is that game, Robin?
I'm still looking. Hold on.
All right. Well,
who you taking? Who's winning the national title?
all right.
Who's
Megan,
winning the national
that's a
title?
night game. So Ohio State.
Yep, 7 p.m.
Tennessee, 7 p.m. Central in Columbus.
Whoa.
And I thought Ohio State didn't play late year night games, right? Isn't that against
just
their
a playoff.
bylaws?
It's a playoff.
It's funny how it works this way.
Unless it's a playoff, that'll be very difficult for
Unless it's a
Tennessee.
Yeah, they can talk about an SEC atmosphere, but a cold weather night game
It's going to be
of
nasty.
Ohio State rugged fans. That ain't
That's
going to be that
nasty.
could be.
Especially with the last game they just played there. Like, it's going to be some venom.
There is.
Shoe.
That stadium is something else. That
Uh-huh.
fan base is something else.
Last time I was there, I was dodging bottles and
Yeah.
nacho cheese trays being thrown onto the
it'll
field.
be rugged. It'll be rugged.
All right, when we come back, we'll bring in Abby Barmore. We'll take your questions in the mailbag. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett, Abby Barmore for the mailbag. Again, we're brought to you by StayHome.Care. They're there for you. Give them a call to learn more about the services they offer at 402-205-2233. We're also brought to you by BetterHelp. And there's been a lot of times this year during the football season where I know a lot of us could have used somebody to talk to about your personal day-to-day struggles. And there's no better way to do that than therapy. And BetterHelp makes it really easy. You find a therapist that makes sense for you. You schedule your appointments on your time. It's really easy. And they have surveys that kind of help you find the right person to talk to about whatever it is in your life. And sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you just need somebody to talk to about getting through those day-to-day life battles you might battle. And we've got a great special. If you've never tried BetterHelp, go to betterhelp.com/Husker. You're going to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/Husker. And you'll get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. Okay, Abby Barmore, let's go.
Okay, does there need to be more urgency in announcing a defensive coordinator with the portal open and so many leaving?
Oh,
Yes and no, but what if it's a guy that's tied to coaching somewhere? You can't force a guy to give up an NFL situation or a playoff situation or whatever it is. So yeah, it's going to be interesting how that develops.
It's as time goes on. Is it less and less likely that it will be John Butler? Is that the way you read this?
I don't know.
It just depends on who he approaches too. And, I'm sure Matt Rule has casted a very wide net to kind of gauge this out. And I guarantee there's a lot of interest too, because when there's a coordinator job that the previous guy was making 1.6, that's a high paid coaching position.
He might have casted a wide net, but he wants the same system.
Mm-hmm.
He was very explicit in saying, I do not want to change our defense. That would limit the net a little bit. I mean, not everybody's going to run the same system. Some guys wouldn't even want to come in. That's why I thought it just sounded like Butler to me when Matt Rule addressed this on signing day, because he said, I want to run the same system. I like the way we do things here.
Butler didn't run that system, though. Like, he brought his own tweaks to Tony White.
Okay.
It's not like Butler and Tony White ran the exact same scheme.
No, but he worked within the system for an entire season, so he knows it very well. He knows the language and everything. So I know people want answers. I feel kind of bad. We don't. It's hard to know, you know.
I would find it hard to believe that Nebraska's just sitting around like has no idea what's going to happen. Like, I'll bet you that they have some lines of communication in place, and if they work out, great. And if not, then I think you have a pretty darn good fallback option in Butler for all the reasons you just laid out there: the familiarity, continuity, his experience. So I don't think that it's like some sort of like panic situation where, oh, we don't have a D-line coach, we don't have a defensive coordinator, what are we going to do? Matt Rule is a very meticulous person in everything he does, and I would be shocked if he didn't have one or multiple plans in place for things to happen quickly.
All right, what do you got next, Abby?
Okay, how important was it for this offense for Emmett Johnson to announce his return?
I think it was big because Nebraska did need kind of a victory in December. I feel like they had suffered so many L's with guys leaving: Jamari Butler, James Williams, some really key names. And there were some obvious ones that left too. But I think getting that to swing their way was a big win.
Well, it could be running back one.
Yeah.
He could be your number one running back in 2025. I mean, he started the last 3 games.
You look good under Holgerson.
He did well. He ran for 113 yards. I believe it was against Wisconsin. Looked good. Looked pretty good against USC. Then looked really good against Wisconsin. Looked pretty good again against Iowa. Established himself as the starter. So, yeah, he could be. I mean, that's significance to me. He could be running back number one.
Well, and that if his departure would have stuck, that would have been the biggest loss on the offensive side of the ball. They've lost a ton on defense, but offensively, it's just been a bunch of backups.
Right.
And so, like, he would have been by far the biggest name on that side of the ball. So to be able to retain that at least helps your offense.
All right, what do you got next, Abby?
Okay, of the players in the portal now, are there any who could return to Nebraska?
Yeah.
I mean, you just never know.
Yes.
I mean, I think Keona Davis,
All of them
always could. And a lot of it is what's Matt Rule's desire and the collective's desire to get it figured out. Is there even an opportunity to figure it out? What are their motives for leaving? Has, you know, the coaches that are at Florida State, how many of those players want to go play for them now?
Right. I mean, and you guys know, you've been around it. Players leave for different reasons. You can't throw a blanket over that conversation. Everybody has not everybody, but a lot of them have different reasons for leaving. The portal's open until December 28th. So yes, they could come back. I wonder about some of those guys a little bit. And I would hope one or two of them would come back. Like we've established, the D line got hit hard, way harder than I thought. I didn't think Kai Wallen would go in. I guess James Williams you would have expected. I didn't think Jamari Butler would go in. You guys were there when
especially after he took the podium talking about why he's coming back.
Exactly.
Less than a week later.
Right. Well, then his coach left. So wonder.
He'd be the one guy that I would be surprised came back. Like, I think all of them besides him have the opportunity to come back. The fact that he hit the portal twice, hit it a second time less than a week after talking about why he's coming back. Like, I think at that point you just turn the page.
All right, Abby, what's next?
Okay, if you had to pick one of the transfers visiting Nebraska, who would you say is most important to add to this roster?
I mean, Dane Key, I think, makes a lot of sense. The Kentucky wide receiver. I think that's a big one with the Keel Shorts coming.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes.
I mean, Williams Nawarney leaving Missouri
Yes.
with his high school coach, Mosey, being at Nebraska. There is a long snapper, Kevin Galick, and he is going to visit Nebraska this week out of New Hampshire. I mean, that's a big. I mean, that cost Nebraska a lot of points this year.
It cost them against Iowa big time. I mean, wow, it did cost them.
I mean, they were basically skipping rocks on their snaps.
Kevin Galick was a 2024 Phil Steele FCS midseason first team All-American.
He could become a very highly paid long snapper.
88.5 PFF grade.
Take him to New York.
Can you just sign him up now?
I mean, receiver, they have to put talent around Dylan. That's the thing that has to happen. You have to get skill talent. I'm not saying they don't have it because it's pretty good. They have some pretty good young guys, but you better go get one or two
They
really
need more.
So they're targeting some linebackers too, and none of them are like big stat guys, but good depth guys. I mean, Phoenix Jackson from Fresno State, and then Omar Graham from Florida State, who I would assume was a Phil Simpson guy that's connected with Phil Simpson. They're both going to visit Nebraska.
You might, Sean. I think you need some starter types there. You lost Bayer. I mean, Bullock graduated.
Stephon
Thompson was good. Got pretty good against the run.
Wright's gone.
Javin Wright. You got. Okay, we talk about the defensive line. That second group, that second unit, the middle of the field unit, got hit hard too.
Shavers and McGahee are presumably back.
Yeah, McGahee was playing Jack, right? Shavers is the linebacker they really need to stay, and I think he's staying.
And then you wonder if Vince Genatone can crack into the rotation.
Genatone could be really helpful.
He played on all the special teams. So, like, linebacker, that has been an early.
They got hit.
Wide receiver and linebacker have been an early priority, as well as defensive back.
Really?
And you wonder, too, like with the D-line, how much of that is going to be directly tied to their D coordinator, D-line coach? Because a lot of times guys get hired and they have guys like Shorts that have dudes that they can immediately bring in. So maybe those dominoes are all kind of tied together.
Final question.
Okay, so we know who the 4 finalists for the Heisman are. Who's your pick? Sean can't tell us, but I'd still love to hear everyone else's thoughts.
Yeah, Sean's a voter, so
Robin, who you picking?
Legally, he cannot say it.
Who would you pick?
I'm going Travis Hunter.
That's what I said I said that in my column today and took a lot of heat on the
he's
board.
A Colorado guy.
Well, the Boise State guy too. It's amazing how many people that they want him to win. You get the sense, but
I'm just saying what Travis Hunter is doing, no one else has ever done to the level that he's doing.
In terms of Vegas odds, Travis Hunter is the overwhelming favorite.
I mean, he is
I was surprised by
top
the
5 NFL prospect as a receiver and as a defensive back. Like, I mean, Jonty's good, but like, there's been other great running backs. No one has done what Travis Hunter's doing right now.
Jonty has ran. Did you say he's ran for 2,490?
I mean, it's incredible. Like, I'm not trying to diminish that accomplishments, but I'm just saying to me, if my vote, I'm giving it to Travis Hunter just because of how rare his accomplishment this season is.
Is Rob Genty a first rounder, Robin? Probably.
Is he?
Late.
Yeah, there's usually a guy like that goes at the end of the first round.
They go to like the Steelers and have a 10-year.
I mean, Travis Hunter's a no-brainer. Travis Hunter's a no-brainer. First rounder.
Yeah.
No-brainer.
I mean, he could go number one
Sanders
overall.
and Travis Hunter could be the top 2 picks in the draft.
Right.
He very well could.
I was shocked to get attacked on the board over this. I didn't understand.
It's the Colorado thing. Like, I mean,
I said it was a no-brainer.
If you take the emotion out of it, you just got to look at everything that he's done and all the other awards that he's winning and just how rare his accomplishments are. Like, to me, that's more than enough.
And Nebraska held him to like his most ordinary game of the year.
And he said that Nebraska environment was the most daunting he'd ever played in.
So the other real upset of the Heisman finalists is there's no SEC finalist. You know, at one point, Carson Beck was the preseason favorite.
Not him.
He had a really average year to the point where, you know, there was talk of him being the number 1 pick of the draft. I don't know where he goes now. And he had a major injury.
He's hurt now.
Like a Tommy John injury.
It's why you don't hear much buzz about the Heisman. I think that's part of it. No SEC players.
ESPN doesn't have anybody to hype up.
Right.
Yeah. Deion Sanders on Heisman night alone will be interesting.
Yeah.
Just to see him there. But yeah, I can't. Sipple used to be a voter, but no longer are you?
No longer a voter. So I can discuss it freely. But I would take Travis Hunter.
And I think there's 16 voters for the state of Nebraska.
The thing that I always would look at, you're supposed to vote for, technically it's the best football player. So I wasn't always big on like the statuesque quarterback like Carson Beck winning it, because that's not what I think of as a football player. I think of Junty or I think of Travis Hunter. Those are football players, like the best players. And either of those guys would be great. See, Dylan Gabriel, I wouldn't vote for him.
The guy that plays over 100 snaps a game.
Yeah.
That guy.
3 of the 4 finalists transfers, by the way.
Interesting.
Genty's the only one.
Yeah. Gabriel's a multi-transfer.
And obviously Hunter,
right?
Travis Hunter followed Deion Sanders. Yeah, Gabriel was at Central Florida, Oklahoma, and now Oregon. But okay, we'll close the show. Talk some volleyball talk and basketball next. You're listening here to the HuskerOnline Show. Final segment here of the Husker Online Show. Again, thanks to our title sponsor, StayHome.Care. They're there for you to help all the loved ones in your life with simple day-to-day tasks that you might need. It's never too early to call about the services they offer. Call 402-205-2233. Thanks to StayHome.Care. We're also brought to you by Ellerbrock-Norris. They've been helping Nebraska business owners protect their purpose for over 120 years with risk management solutions built for local businesses. Ellerbrock-Norris partners with you on commercial insurance, group benefits, exit business planning, and safety, and more. Start thinking long-term with your business and create a risk management strategy to protect it. Are your employee benefit costs going through the roof? Talk to Ellerbrock. Are workplace injuries skyrocketing your workers' compensation costs? Talk to Ellerbrock. Hoping to retire in the next 10 years and sell the business to family, key employees, or even a friendly competitor? Talk to Ellerbrock. Ellerbrock-Norris is helping you protect your purpose, whether it's your business and the employees in it, your life outside of work, or your future retirement goals. Head to ellerbrock-norris.com/HuskerOnline today to get your free risk evaluation. Thanks to Ellerbrock-Norris for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. Okay, Abby, volleyball made quick work. Florida A&M in Miami. It was kind of funny, by the way, to watch some of the Florida A&M TikTok videos. Was one of the games was 25-3.
Yes, that set a record. That was Nebraska's best set win in the rally scoring area.
Wow.
Crazy.
What was funny about the TikTok?
Well, they were the Florida A&M players were kind of making jokes how they are part of a record. they had fun with
rough.
Hey.
It was rough. Good for them. But also like so that game was 25-3, 25-9, 25-17. And then the opponent, right? Florida A&M had scored 29 points, and that was also a record, the least amount.
How long was that match?
65
Still
minutes,
now.
I want to say,
Well,
which
there's a
is
5-minute
unreal.
break.
That is super fast.
Yeah, that's incredibly fast.
Yeah, it was great for Nebraska. I mean, that was a huge win for them just to get that confidence really up. And even against Miami, I mean, they held Miami and Florida A&M to 0-10. So that's quite the number, but they're really going to need that defense to be rocking this weekend too. They got some really high power offenses and great players coming in for the regional.
So we'll have Dayton on Friday, and then on Sunday, Nebraska could play Wisconsin. And we speculated this a week ago. ABC is going to pick up that game in the regional finals in Lincoln. So assuming Nebraska beats Dayton, they will be kind of treated like the Kansas basketball game or the marquee brand game for their sport, which they are, which I think is a huge opportunity for the program to play a game on ABC on a Sunday afternoon.
Whoa, Abby.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. ABC's been picking up some games, and last year, it's just so excited, Sipple.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, last year was the national championship was on ABC for the first time, and it will be again this year. So it's great to have, the game on national television. And I mean, Nebraska, Wisconsin, it doesn't get much better than that, especially for the third time this year.
Oh.
So that will be great. But I mean, Nebraska's got to get past Dayton, and Wisconsin's playing Texas A&M. So another storyline there we've got.
Will
coming
Trev
to
be in
Lincoln.
the building? I bet he won't.
I don't think that he would, but
I just don't
who
think he
knows?
probably wants unnecessary attention.
He did not attend the men's basketball tournament, but he went to the women's when the women played Texas A&M last year out in Corvallis.
How would he be received?
Not well.
I wouldn't think so. Sean?
I don't think it'd be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Leave it at that. Huge weekend. Wow.
yeah.
It'll be fun, Abby.
It will be very fun. And also, Creighton and Texas are playing
Oh.
at noon on Thursday.
Did you get a
Terrible
credential
time.
for that? Is that that's on the road, right?
Yeah, that's on the road.
Oh, yeah. Satilli went from KTV. Matt Satilli is out at Penn State covering those.
Okay.
Yeah, so that will be – I'm very looking forward to that game.
The
and
time
it'll
of the
be great.
Wisconsin match, again, if it happens, would be what on
3?
At 2:00 on Sunday.
2.
Okay, I'll watch that from a hospital bed.
So on Friday we've got
StayHome.Care
Wisconsin.
might need to come over to your house and help you out.
I'll watch that from
Can you figure out how to find
St.
ABC?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nurse.
Wisconsin.
All right, Rob, it's fine.
Wisconsin, Texas A&M, Friday night,
Yeah.
6, and then Nebraska plays Dayton 30 minutes after that game. So
Okay.
Hopefully it's a quick one, because if it's 3 hours and we are starting at 9:30, that will be a huge bummer.
Now, Robin, I don't mean to pivot to the bad news, but Nebraska basketball suffered one of their worst losses in a while on the road at Michigan State. And now they have the week off. I believe it's finals week at Nebraska. And they play Friday night in a massive Friday night tilt in PBA against Indiana.
Yeah, so tying it with the volleyball talk, of course, that game is going to be probably overlapping with the volleyball NCAA tournament game on Friday night. Well, maybe like an hour difference, but that was a game, or is a game, where Nebraska needs that arena to be packed to the rafters and have PBA be at its full display, just because of how critical this game is for Nebraska. Coming off that, I mean, it was big enough to begin with, but then coming off that performance up in East Lansing, that was as disappointing and embarrassing of a effort as you're going to see from any team, and even a Nebraska team. And they were within what 2 possessions or a point or about a basket within the final minute of the first half, and then things just absolutely exploded on them to where they wouldn't put up any fight on the boards. They got absolutely dominated on the glass. They had no answers offensively and just looked like a team that wanted to go home. Jeez. That was the first time in a long time, going back to maybe 2 or 3 seasons, where Nebraska looked like it didn't belong. And I think that's what hurts fans the most. Like losing at Michigan State, they were 7-point dogs. Like, okay, that's fine. You lose that game, it doesn't hurt you whatsoever. But when you lose by 37 and look like that in the process, that's a problem. And so now they get another week off to try to figure out what the heck's going on. And an Indiana matchup that I think that just on paper, they do match up pretty well in this one, but they need that home court advantage to be what it was a year ago in Big Ten play, when they went undefeated at home in the conference. And it starts with getting things back on track on Friday night.
Yeah, Nebraska missed 14 of its first 15 shots in the second half, that's stunning. They got out rebounded by 19.
Yes.
Right? Now, I was writing a football column during the game, and I said, I got to focus on this. But at one point, I went to check the score, and Nebraska was down 42. And I was stunned. I was like, wait a second, is that score correct? Is that type of moment.
Yeah, I just took off and went to Super Saver at that point. I mean, I'm just like,
okay. Super Saver, not Hy-Vee. Interesting.
Well, because it's closer. No, I had a, but I was like, okay, I've seen enough. I need to run and just get some stuff for dinner tonight. And I'm not going to watch any more.
What's Indiana?
They're big.
Okay.
They're big.
What's the Ken Palm projection?
Omar Bala. They have Nebraska winning, but it's only by a point, 53% chance. Ooh. So, I mean, that's the home court advantage, and that's going to be the difference in this one. Nebraska, last time Indiana was there, they ran them out of the gym, and they did so again in the Big Ten tournament. So, I mean, that's been an advantage for them. But they need to give the crowd something to cheer for. They have to figure it out offensively. Michigan State took Connor Essegian out of the game pretty much throughout. A guy that was coming in averaging over 25 points per game over his last 2. I mean, he was the reason why things were really starting to take off for them offensively. And whatever Michigan State did, they flustered him. They were aggressive with him. They were holding him. They were bumping him. And they took him out of it. Similar to go back with Keisei Tominaga. When teams roughed up Keisei, they took him out. And the problem for Nebraska was no one else stepped up. They didn't have any other outside of Andrew Morgan coming off the bench and leading the way with 14 points.
Yeah.
But you need more than that. You need where's Bryce Williams? Where's Jawan Gary? Where's Raleigh Wooster? Like, where are your main alpha guys that need to step up in that situation on the road when things are really getting tough? That didn't happen, and it must happen starting Friday night for them to get back on track.
Be a busy weekend. Abby has you covered with Nebraska volleyball and the regionals. Robin will have you covered with Nebraska basketball and Indiana on Friday night. And Sip and I will be on the transfer portal watch desk, which is a 24/7.
Is he going to pick up a little bit?
You just never know. It's a bureau of news that never stops.
A bureau of news. And Sean also used the word tilt. The tilt Friday night.
Is that incorrect?
No, it's correct. It's a very old timey word. They used to use it in the newspaper business back in the day. The tilt.
Hopefully Nebraska gets a lot more caroms.
Steve.
Caroms.
All right. When we come, all right, that wraps it up for Abby Barmore, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett, signing off here for another edition of the Husker Online Show.